Before I begin, I just... Oh,
sorry. Whoa.
My bad.
Hold on, Dad. Before you begin. Yeah, definitely before you begin. All right.
Okay.
Begin.
Before I begin, I'd just like to thank our judges, the proposition team, and my partner, as well as the audience for being here today. Now, once again, today's motion is this House believes that we are taxed enough already. Now, before I move into our opposition case, I'll go over the resolutional analysis. Now, we as the opposition team agreed to all of the proposition's definitions. However, we simply state that if the proposition team is going to give themselves double the ground, double the arguments to argue for themselves, say that, oh, well, we define enough as already taxed, as satisfactory, or taxed too much. Well, they're having double the ground that they get to argue for, so therefore we believe that they should have double the burden. This seems reasonable. They cannot say that, oh, well, we want this broad argument. We want to be able to argue basically whatever we want and have the same burden as the opposition team. Obviously, this isn't fair. Keep that in mind as I take their first of two POIs.
You keep saying that we're looking for this ground, that we're forcing it onto you, that you have to defend this small margin. But we're not saying that. The motion has said it. Isn't that true?
No, it's not. The motion says this House believes we are taxed enough already. Now, you as the opposition, as the proposition team, it's your burden and responsibility to narrow down the scope of the debate, to define the terms as they are. You cannot, for example, if the House the motion says this House, you can't say, oh, well, this House could be the people. This House could be the government. This House could be the state government, the federal government. Well, you have to pick one. You can't simply use them all and then argue that you have the same burden. Now, moving on to the opposition's case. Our first point was that of the military, which similarly is the proposition's first point as well. Now, we believe that when we're in a war, we need money to spend for the military. We need to provide our military the funds that they need in order to win this war that we're in. Obviously, we can't cut spending on the military, especially in times of war. Our second point was that we need more money for education. Currently, 18% of seniors are not graduating with the appropriate literacy rate. 18% of seniors aren't graduating with appropriate literacy rates. That means that the vast majority of students are not proficient in reading. Obviously, this is a huge problem that's created in part by the Prop 13, which says we're not being taxed enough. Right now, houses aren't being taxed for what they're worth. This is a concrete example, and if we look back at the weight of circumstances judging criteria, this is a concrete example of where we're not being taxed enough. Houses are not being taxed at the rate that at the value of the house. They're being taxed on the value that they were bought at, not the value of the taxes today. Keep that in mind as I take their last POI.
You're blaming the amount of taxes on, the detriment of education. But isn't it, all reality, just the distribution of the taxes too much in one area and not enough in this area? You're saying we need to tax more to have more in this area. Can't we just move things around?
Where are you suggesting we move things around? Throughout the entire proposition speech, they said, oh, well, we want to get rid of these stupid other programs. However, what are these stupid other programs? They haven't given any examples of where they're going to shift the money. Yeah, it'd be great if we could come up with this magic money. Oh, wait, that's what taxes are. I'm sorry, I said I'd only take 2 points. Now, moving on to their third point of our third point. We said healthcare. We need more money for things like healthcare. Now, once again, all they said was, oh, let's take the money from somewhere else. Let's cut these stupid other programs. However, they failed to specify what are these stupid other programs. Obviously, they can't win if they don't have examples of where we're going to shift this money to pay for the programs that they themselves agreed were essential to our country, such as education, such as healthcare, such as military. Our fourth and final point was that we need more money for infrastructure. Currently, 50%, over half of the bridges in our country are not up to standards. Now, obviously, we need more money to pay for the for fixing bridges not only for the safety of the Americans who use these bridges daily, but also to create more jobs. We're in a tough economy right now. The economy is in a recession, and if we're in a recession, we need to create more jobs, and one way that we'll do that is by improving infrastructure, which is unsafe to begin with. Now, moving on to the propositions team. Their first arguments was that, oh, well, we need federal, the federal income tax is too high. However, this is an assertion. When even my partner asked in a POI, what's the harm? They said nothing. They said, oh, this is a huge harm. Horrible, horrible. Why is it so bad? We need money to pay for programs like education, like military, things like that. Well, in order for us to pay for those programs, we need taxes. They haven't shown a harm. In addition, their second point was that, oh, well, states, this is an inefficient system where states are taxing us and where federal government is taxing us. However, this isn't inefficient. First of all, we're not having a debate about whether state government or federal government is better. Obviously, that's not what this topic is about. The proposition team is saying that, oh, well, it's inefficient to have state government and federal government. However, they're dealing with different things. There's a difference between, say, a road that runs completely in a state versus an interstate highway. Those are two different areas that can benefit by having two different funding sources. That's not being inefficient to have some projects be paid for by one area and some projects be paid for by another area. That's not being inefficient. Now, in addition, they said their third point was that, oh, well, local governments are inefficient as well. However, once again, this is assertion. This is the same thing as their first point. There's no connection between why having two or three sources that fund this different areas is bad. Now, their fourth and final point was that the people's reaction. We have to look, how do the people feel? They said a perfect example of this is the Tea Party. However, there's only a couple hundred people in the Tea Party. If we look at that as an example of what the American people think, obviously most are not part of that organization. And for all these reasons, we believe that the opposition has won, and we ask for the judge's vote. Thank you.